Test. All right. Test your audio for a sec.
Never.
All right, good enough. Welcome everyone to episode 75 of Cast in the Shadows. Started off, I guess, this week in Star Citizen, right? Week. A lot of things in Star Citizen. It's like the first week in a while that there's actually going to be a lot of stuff going on. So we got. Got obviously Galactipedia tomorrow. This week Star Citizen today. We actually got Inside Star Citizen coming back this week. We got Star Citizen Live on Friday, and then we got Jump Point July issue and Subscriber Vault update on Friday. I mean, it's going to be a normal Star Citizen week, but it's been a while since we've had a normal Star Citizen week.
Yes.
But we have a lot of news because we haven't done anything in 2 weeks ourselves. I think most notably we got the Siege. Obviously, last we talked about all the content that 3.17.2 is coming out with. But since then we've got some new updates. You want to dive into the player count raise? I mean, that's what everyone's talking about. I think you're more knowledgeable. You have more knowledge on it than I do, probably.
Yeah, so with one very prominent exercise, and so they've been going and just playing around with things like, let's have 70 players in a server, let's have 100, let's have 120, stuff like that, generally around those numbers here. And apparently they're finding it's been relatively stable here, with one prominent note being that at one point you had 100 players in a singular 890 jump that was flying around. And I saw the clip. It was in
Morphologist
jumping somewhere. But I mean, just the fact that we're able to do that and the server is not melting, definitely good signs. And they've, because of this and because the testing with these player caps has gone well, they're saying that there is a planned there is a now planned, it was not planned before, but specifically because the tests were going really well, they are planning on increasing the total server population cap. We don't know to what just yet. It could be something like 75, it could be 100, it could be something else.
I heard something around 80, but I
think
that was a board gamer video saying that, whatever.
I mean, and even there, that's probably just conjecture. But it's going to be.
Well, that's what I meant. Like, 50. I don't think he was sure either.
Yeah, but it's going to be more than 50. So, pretty cool stuff. Because this is getting us more and more toward that whole idea of a singular universe that we're all in as much as possible. Because one thing too that's always been somewhat annoying about Star Citizen is it's like you're in this universe that's supposed to be this living, breathing universe, and yet the only time you really ever see ships flying around is right by a major spaceport. Anywhere else, you see something once in a great while, and that's it. You don't get to see like just traffic. And I mean, eventually stuff like that will come once we have NPCs flying around, going to different places, because that used to be in way back when, and they cut it pretty quick due to server performance. But once we've got server meshing in, at least to some degree, we're likely to see that follow too at some point. So, plus also too, the more efficient we can make a singular server, the more we can pack into one area here, which means even bigger battles, even better fight scenes, even larger scenes. So, all good.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is also like, how many times do you and I like, oh, I see you're online, let me go and join you. Your server's full.
Yep. Well, I mean, realistically though, you're probably still going to be running into that.
You're still going to be running into it, but most of the time, I don't know, I just feel like it may not happen. Either it may not happen quite to...
Well, if I remember
I don't know. It's still going to be a problem, I think, but...
they were talking about, along with because one of the big reasons why they were doing some playing around with the player cap numbers was because they were looking at because they were fiddling around with like their server provider, and they're going, hey, right now we've got a lot of lower population servers, i.e. 50 players per, and they wanted to see, because what they have is they essentially have one really powerful machine. That one really powerful machine goes and says, hey, I'm going to make 20 smaller machines, and each of those 20 smaller machines are our actual servers that we join into and have different players in them and are running different instances of missions and whatever. And they're like, okay, we're seeing a certain amount of usage of resources from the main server, the main machine here that they're all sitting on. Like, okay, well, let's try, instead of having lots of small servers, let's try to have a few larger servers. We're talking 75, 80, 100 players on them, and see just in terms of server resources how they're doing and performing and stuff. So that's really how it came about.
And it also makes sense from a testing perspective because look, they eventually need to know how many, like, what is the maximum amount of players. Forget what stuff is on the server, just amount of players they can have on a server before it just completely fails, and what's the minimum that they would need, because eventually when dynamic server meshing is a thing, they need to know how many servers to allocate for. Oh, there's X amount of players here, or there's only one player here. How many servers do we need for this player at this location or on this ship or doing this activity, whatever it is? So they need to have that numbers, and this is how they get those numbers. And the quote from what CIG was saying earlier, was it earlier today, I believe? Now I know that this is them saying, now I know we previously said we had no plans for an increase in player cap on the live servers, the live build being like what's currently 3.17. However, the results of said tests have been so promising that things have changed. For this reason, we are now exploring increasing the cap for the live release of Alpha 3.17.2. We're still testing and reviewing, and we'll share more information, including what cap we end up going with. Sorry. So very soon. But yeah, so they're gonna be having an increased player cap on the live servers, probably. I'd say it's very likely. Odds are later today or probably sometime later this week for certain we're going to get some more updates on the player caps on the servers, because yeah, as you know, they mentioned themselves, and it makes a lot of sense. They probably have a lot of allocated servers that are like dedicated for X region that just don't get used. Not saying like because no one plays in that region, just depending on time of day or how many players are in that region, you know. This way, maybe just it's essentially how many assets you have versus how much do you need, right? If you have an abundance, might as well use it, right? Make the most of what you have. So if they can raise the player count, that would definitely help. I think it's beneficial in almost every way, because it means more people can play at a time, more people can play with each other, and it'd also make for a better experience. Now the question is performance, obviously, but from what I've seen, the PTU seems to be pretty well. I was actually kind of surprised to see the amount of, or rather the lack of, DC in the Siege of Orison event from the last 2 weeks. I haven't been in the PTU myself, I should note. I'm planning on doing that sometime this week, not next week, but if it's still in PTU next week. But it looks great from some of the videos and streams I've watched. Can be still there? Can. Can be can.
And what, who?
I didn't know if you're still there or not.
Oh, sorry. I'm in the middle of a boss fight in Fallen Order.
Oh, yeah?
Which, oddly enough, looks very similar to a boss from Fallout 76, but hey, whatever.
Giant dragon or something?
Giant bat thing.
Same thing, yeah. Well, literally same thing in Bethesda's case. It's probably just a reskinned dragon.
Details.
Actually, that reminds me, for whether we end up doing a video or whatever or not, I thought it'd be pretty cool if the Fallout TV show footage you're just playing Fallout 4 in New Vegas in the background.
And taken down for DMCA.
But yeah, no, the testing folks obviously the newest PTU patch, which is this in front of me, 3.17.2T Tango. We got testing focuses, player capacity server tests, so they increased the players. I don't think it's as high as it was. I think they lowered it, but they've got turret acceleration changes, derelict reclaimers version 1, which and derelict colonial outposts they've been doing for the last ever since 3.17.2 went into view or into Cavity even. Obviously, new space stations, range points, Grimhex hospital expansions, the usual stuff that we talked about last time. That's just the updates that are coming with 17.2. Are all still the main testing focuses. Apparently, known issues are multi-vehicle ships floating in the hangar when stored with the left on, then retrieved again. So don't store your ships with the engines on. Turn them off when you land. Vehicle spawning, the car to all spawn in the hangar floor sideways, which not great if you want to get inside it. Missions, Red Wind Discrete Courier. Some delivery boxes cannot be placed to progress the mission, which is known delivery mission issue, so that's hopefully going to get solved soon. Weapon animations, all weapons are held like a pistol whilst moving in EVA. That's better than not having a weapon in EVA at all, but given that this is Star Citizen, there is no exterior and interior model in regards to your player, like the first person. Like, you don't have a different view in first person to what someone else would look. Like, for instance, a game like Halo, what you're seeing, the legs you're seeing when you're looking in first person are not the same leg models if you're watching it from someone else's perspective.
Details.
So in Star Citizen, all like what you see is what that actually is there. So your pistol is, your gun is not in the proper position. You can't aim down the sights because of that. Then that's a problem. Combat
that's
AI.
Really interesting. With Star Citizen, your character, your body, there is no difference between the first person body and the third person body. It is the same body.
Right.
Which is really hard to get right, which is why most games do that kind of stuff. But that's also why, too, people who have seen, hey, if you have some really weird animation playing or some really weird glitch where, like, your left arm is all janked up, hey, you can't use your Mobi glass because it's actually on your arm, which actually has to move in front of your face, which can lead to problems, of course, but...
Right. We also got combat AI. UGF missions are sometimes missing these spawns to complete the mission. That's not good. But again, this is all PTU stuff, and they're working on this already. Patch came
I'm sure
out
it'll be perfectly bug-free when it goes to PU.
Oh shit, this is from today.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got also the ASOP terminals, ships on landing pads, or not ASOP terminals, but the ASOP ships on landing pads end up in unknown state for location, have to be reclaimed. Oh, that's a pain in the ass.
Oh boy.
Missing ships on Scoundrel Pack for 3.17.2. This is a PTU only issue worked on. Okay, so the Scoundrel Pack is one of the pledge packs you can get for ships. So, but they're saying it's only a problem in the PTU. If you're playing in the live build right now and you have the Scoundrel Pack, you should be fine. But then again, this is PTU. The issues are abound. Bug fixes. We got Zeta Prolonide salvage claim mission boxes now all spawn correctly for the player to retrieve. AI should no longer become stuck in environment and float upwards. I have ascended. Fixed an issue causing elevators in multiple ships to not function fully. I feel like that's an issue that the Reclaimer has always had, though. Specifically.
Details.
Players should no longer experience blinding lights during planetary flight. That would be nice. And they fixed some server and client crash issues. Okay, removed 50 player party max UI text. Neat. That's really it. That's just the patch note. What they changed, what they're fixing. I love the comments already on Spectrum. They're looking at, now we're getting 100 player servers. Let's discuss bringing capital ships into player hands. The problem with that argument is, yeah, I definitely say, hey, let's get some capital ships in here. Our org has a few Idrises that we can definitely play with. The problem though is they want players that have Squadron to experience these ships for the first time through Squadrons. So until Squadron's out, we're not really going to be getting it. Like that was the argument they made for a while. It's like there's narrative reasons with these ships, so they want us to experience them firsthand through the story rather than just through shenanigans and Star Citizen. And I respect that. So I think just that until Squadron's out, it's going to be a pretty long wait. Like, it'll feel longer. Oh, I see someone put a screenshot of that new helmet. Looks good.
New helmet? Good. Which one?
The red one. The new red Morsov, the specialist. The one that reminds me of a Fallout. It does. It looks like a, power armor meets the NCR Ranger helmet. It just looks great. That's it so far. And like literally, this dropped just earlier today, so the PTU build or the latest one. But yeah, more players. Star Citizen is a good thing. We also got obviously the Siege of Arson, apparently positive impact. So they got like a don't talk yet.
Do it.
How many times have you died?
All the times.
Well, we got some fixes and features that are coming to Siege of Arson event from all the PT stuff. So we got downed players may become desynced was one of the bug fixes, along with vaulting considered players. These are bugs that have been fixed, not bugs that are persistent. Players can see other players' death markers leading to exploits. When the player attempts to grab an item or weapon off the floor, the animation is delayed. Dragging and dropping a magazine into the player's armor can cause the inventory to infinitely load and not respond to player action. It is a problem that we've been having in the live build a lot. New features that they've added is a way to randomize the facial features, not the skin or hair color, but just the facial features themselves of the NPCs. So they've been doing this more, so this way there's more variety in faces, so that you're not just running across the same faces. They're using the same tech that the player has access to for creating their face. Player creator, except they have CIG has more faces to choose from than the player does. We have 9, I think, for each sex.
That's alright.
Whereas they have a crap ton, because the faces that we're using in the customizer, I believe, are already a mishmash of different faces. Like the faces we have access to themselves are creations that CIG made. And also, think of it this way. All the actors in Squadron 42, they have their faces that technically we could use. I think legal reasons we can't, like the likenesses and that. So
even
but the workaround argument,
likeness.
No, but the workaround argument was that they would be able to make faces from the actors. So this way, you could use. Oh, here's And it would probably be a fun game for players to try to find the facial elements of each actor to put the actor back together Frankenstein style. That would be kind of entertaining. But yeah, my point being is they have a lot more faces than the player has access to. So this is going to be one of the games where you'll never run into the same guy is an actual promise.
Well, we'll see.
Well, more so than freaking Cyberpunk. And every other game that exists. Bethesda. Doesn't Bethesda always promise that every time there's a new game? And then you have derpy faced AIs. I will eat those words if I'm wrong, though. I eat my words when I'm right, too. Eat them even before anything's proven. I'll make Cam cough up whatever the hell he just did. Hairball?
Mothball, actually.
Don't eat those moths, man.
They were tasty.
You come to New York, they're really big here.
Dun dun dun.
We also got so art and props, bug fixes. They've fixed invisible collision on many assets interfering projectiles, which is good. Corpses cannot hold weapons. Way if someone dies, NPCs sometimes when they die, they're still holding on to the gun, which means you can't take their gun. But so they fixed that, so you can take their gun. They fixed an audio issue where sounds apart from the player's breathing were being disproportionately affected by injuries. So essentially, you should be having injuries, sounds, if you're getting shot in the head at least. They fixed a bug causing LMGs, sniper rifles, railguns, and missile launchers to not spawn in loot crates. They fixed an issue where water volume buoyancy was world space, causing things to float in the air near water volumes. Lighting issues, player and AI flashlights now have flares. So if I were to shine my light in your face, you're going to see a giant, bright light, but also there's a flare effect. Mission features that were fixed. Players cannot see markers over other players and AI sharing the same mission. That's been fixed now. Along with spawn closets, don't clean up corpses when they reach a defined limit in time. I'll just edit these because again, these are bug fixes. They have fixed the spawn ship. Spawn ships can't appear in different locations on different clients and servers. And corpses don't spawn loot, now they do. Vehicle content team fixed an issue with the Grey Cat PTV loading in exceptionally frail, allowing it to be destroyed by punching. Oh, interesting. They turned it into a warthog from Halo.
Yep.
Well, they fixed it, but for a while you can punch it to death. There's a bunch of other bug fixes. The only new features that they added to the Siege of Orison is a way to randomize the facial features for AI. They added a new shuttle type that can be called by players like an elevator. And players will also drop empty magazines. Also a reminder for anyone that either forgot or was unaware, Alpha 3.17.2, when it goes live, will have a database wipe. So anything you have or are doing in the live build is going to be gone. Unless it's tied to your account. So your ship that you bought through the website, any gear or subscriber items from the website, on any skins from the website, all that stuff will be fine because it's tied to your account. But anything you earned in-game, so credits that you earned in-game, a ship you bought in-game, all the gear, stuff you've looted off corpses, that's all going to be gone. Yeah, we also have some cool news regarding the community stuff. CIG has been very good with that, I think. That is, the snake pit. So shame Data isn't here to talk about this, but the snake pit was was it XGR? I can't remember if it's SCR XGR. That's why Creative Data was here. But essentially, it was an improvised racetrack on Clio, about relatively 8 kilometers away from the Rayari McGath research outpost on Clio, which is a microtech. And it was a full racetrack that the XGR guys made. And now it's an official racetrack that CIG kind of worked with XGR to actually make it and map it in the game. So now they've made a fan-made track into a real track, which is not their first time doing this. They did it with the Daymar Rally a few years ago. But it's awesome. Other racetracks we're also experimenting with, such as a track around the Javelin crash site. So they're going to be working on more racetracks because they want to make racing a big thing in Star Citizen. It was a job in Star Citizen. Like, there was missions that Moby-Glass, but they got rid of them because either no one was doing them or they just weren't testing that they wanted doing right now. But for now, the Snake Pit is the only the only racetrack polished enough to be published to the BTU. So it will be in a live build when Alpha 3.17.2 goes live. One of the main aims of this racetrack is to get more new players into racing by providing an easier and more polished experience. Now, it's kind of the problem they had with the original racetracks when they had the racing contracts on the Moby-Glass was they weren't really racetracks. Like, CIG didn't really have that down yet. But now that they have the community making tracks for them, it's getting a lot better. I've done a few of the XGR tracks with Data just for fun, and they are fun tracks. And CIG actually made their own track with the Pisces track during, what was it, Victus? I think Invictus launch week. Tillam29's in the chat saying, good to see you, Cast in Shadows. Good to see you, Tillam. Hope all is well. Yeah, we also got the June 2022 monthly studio report for Squadron. As usual, a lot of AI improvements. That seems to be what studio reports usually pertain to. But more specifically, got AI content team worked on extended Master at Arms behavior beyond standard bartender AI. So Master at Arms, you saw him in the Squadron 42 vertical slice back in 2017. He was essentially okay, you're going out for a mission. Go to him, get your gun. You can request gear and stuff like that. So they're making his AI more fleshed out than just a request thing. Go up to request item and then leave. Extended than just the standard behavior. They continued mocap redelivery for remaining core cast characters to increase fidelity. Landing officers now
fidelity.
Fidelity.
Playing the Star Citizen drinking game. Take a drink.
Yep. Landing officer is now finished and integrated, designed with visibility in mind to help the players land safely and correctly oriented. So no upside down, sideways, no upside down, inverted, whatever landings where I'm just like inside the ship clipping through geometry. Is that it? Is that what they're trying to not make me do? Anyway, they also...
It would be interesting though if whenever you land, at least, if you're landing at, like, let's say, Oris Microtech, okay, so this was a high-tech planet, largely populated here. You go to land and you have, even if we don't get, and I know they've said they're working on some kind of a landing computer kind of things where you can have some idea of the terrain under you if there's bad visibility or whatever. But it would be interesting if in the hangar itself we had some kind of an indicator of, hey, we're seeing this is about where you're at. Are you level? Are you too far left, too far right, whatever. Because someone was showing off something they built in Space Engineers. That was that kind of thing. That was pretty much showing like, oh, you're here's the center. You're too far left, too far right, too far back, too far forward, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, so the way it was going to be originally was just you see him through the cockpit visor, but they said it was too
I would love to see that too.
Also, it's going to be in addition to that, but the problem is it was too challenging just seeing it exclusively through that, so they wanted to have it be visible through the cockpit display as well as through the visor. So this way you can see him over there, but when you're landing and because challenges of having a game versus reality.
You know, to be hilarious, I just thought of this. So you remember how way back when, this was probably like 3 point, like pretty much when like 3.2 to 3.8 or so was out. When you would go and call up a landing zone, you would get a hangar operator, and bear in mind too, this person was an actual NPC in the game. You have like a video call going to them, like you're actually seeing the room there, and so like if someone were like sneaking around in the background, you'd see them sneaking around in the background during the call. You know, it's not like faked or a fake video or anything like that.
Right.
And they would go and just, hey, welcome to Levski. Here's your pad. Have a nice day, kind of thing. Or hey, you're clear to take off. Bye. Have a great day. It would be interesting if, and bear in mind, so that video link would play on one of your MFDs or in your helmet HUD as you're taking off or landing. It would be cool to see one of your MFDs, whatever one you have set to like your comms, would show like so you have like the person on the ground who is giving you like the visual indicators and shit. You get a camera, like the guy's like, okay, here's my spot in the hangar. There's a camera, 4 feet away from him, pointing at him, and you get that camera feed of him going, okay, move this way, okay, stop, move over here, okay, stop, you're good, lower, you're good, you're landed, something like that. So that way you have it in you don't have to be looking out the window going, oh shit, I can't see the guy because of this strut or whatever.
Well, that was the idea around it because you can't see the guy while you're doing all this. This way he's on.
I think that would be an interesting, immersive kind of way of doing it. Don't know if they'll do that. They might pick that in other options. They might not pick that. I don't know. But
well, they said that they're going to have him in the cockpit display as well as the visor, instead of
so
just
that way
through
you
the
can
visor.
look out the window and see him, or you can just look down at your HUD and there's a camera pointed right at the guy.
But the thing is that it's both. It's not one. It's not the other. It's you can see him doing it, but you can also see him in your HUD doing it. But it's not, as you said, this way you're not like looking back and forth. Like it's like that when you're trying to parallel park, and it's like you have someone outside the car telling you, "Are am I hitting him? No. You have a little, you got about a foot left. Keep going. All right.
Scrape.
Exactly.
SpongeBob, we're good.
Lastly, for the AI content team, they also received essential bug fixes from the AI tech to allow movement of trolleys from multiple line points, so this way they can actually move trolleys.
As opposed to them destroying you or yeeting you into another dimension?
Yeah. The AI feature team had logic implementation started on NPC attack archetypes, the archetypes being Defender, which attacks from cover, rarely moves until position is compromised or ineffective. The Pusher, I think they should change the name up, but the Pusher closes distance between self and target to build pressure on the target. Strafer chooses a lateral position away from the target's focus to attempt flanking maneuvers. And that's it. That's just but each NPC can select the attack archetype they determine is the best for the current situation based on multiple criteria. And that's the thing, is the AI on the fly will choose, open, essentially it'd be like, open Defender file, execute, and then they'll do that. Each criteria is calculated into a score for each archetype that helps the NPC determine which to use. Made progress on perception, cover, and movement animations for the female skeleton model, so that aligning with work the male skeleton, because they were lagging behind with the female. So now you'll have animations for both, and maybe you'll see more female enemy types. Just because right now, if you look at all the NPCs you're killing, they're all men. Look, I hate everyone equally. Okay? I want to kill everyone equally. They also worked, the AI feature team also worked on a new weapon accuracy system, adding features to help designers balance difficulty. And they merged Vanduul and human master graphs, top level state machine controlling AI character behavior, making the system easier to maintain and increasing behavior possibilities. Incorporated selections from last month's mocap sessions, including bespoke and stealth animation to these behaviors. The AI animation team, well, no, that was the AI. The animation team overall continued on the 0G traversal, helmets, female Spec Ops AI, and look dev for weighted characters. So hopefully we can see that 0G traversal soon, because the EVA right now is still a bit of a mess. Improved cast locomotion, Vanduul searching, Vanduul in cockpits, sick persons, ladder blockouts, and mastered arms, the Volt SMG, shotgun animations for all these things have been worked on. So there's now animations for all the Volt SMG and shotgun weapons that two that we know of. We got previs tests are now complete on Chapter 1 AI. The improved reaction system for the gameplay, as well as final passes on facial expressions for multiple cast members. Character art team continued key outfits for the UE TV, including the bridge officer uniform, deck crew EVA outfit, and training gear. And we got armor for the Screaming Galsons progressed, as well as updates were made to the hair shader. Weapon art team work began on the Volt weapons, including assault rifle, LMG, SMG, shotgun. Those are all the Volt weapons. Volt is a company in lore, for context, and they make electron weapons like the Atskev sniper rifle and the Uberev pistol in game right now. So they're lightning guns. So we'll get more variety of that type of weapon, which the weapon art team also worked on on a physical riot shield. Engine guys working on the engine improved the heavily optimized ray world intersections, enhanced projectile intersections detected with fast-moving ships, introduced tiling for defense SDFs, optimized SDF coordination conversion, optimized trilinear interpolation, fixed and extended support for player-only collision geometry nodes inside 3D geometry and animation. Continued work on new ropes, continued numerous additional bug fixes and improvements, continued Gen 12 port of atmospheric and volumetric cloud rendering, improved compilation of atmospheric shader code, increased concurrency prevention, and streaming in properties of multiple planets en route to atmosphere and cloud rendering. Added a tag system to help track event messages between these areas, replacing hierarchy logic and improving efficiency. Work continued on streamlining development pipelines to keep code clean, which is a problem they kind of had in the past a bit. Work began on a customizable development library for Star Engine, which is they use, which is a derivative of the Tri-Engine, now Lumberyard. Continued work on internal entity scheduling performance and on optimizing load times of small files. Continued improving of the R_display info console command, and FPS analytics improved, allowing for more accurate profiling information. And that's all the engine work that was done in June 2022 for Squadron 42. This is all the Squadron 42 monthly report. But all this eventually gets into the Star Citizen stuff anyways, so pretty much the same. It's just, well, there's a bit of a delay between what happened in Squadron versus Star Citizen. The gameplay feature team worked on visibility and usability improvements made to the character customizer alongside a general polish of the customizer. Further improvement and polish completed for Flight Academy application form added new ability to request weapon attachments from the Master at Arms, and they added support for persistent entity streaming to address recent changes affecting several Squadron 42 missions. The gameplay story team completed multiple scenes at a high standard with help from the last of April's mocap sessions, enabling addition of new NPC refueling scene. New mocap session completed. Framework began for the resultant data before it arrives. Maintenance and multiple updates made poses in various story scenes. All bunk bed and mess hall scenes updated to ensure correct handshake with AI. The graphics and VFX programming and the PTE teams continued Gen 12 port, including the gas clouds as mentioned earlier, along with rivers, frozen oceans, refraction, and multi-pass support. Added fixes for tessellation, partitioning, and planetary ground fog. Fixed multiple issues in Vulkan backend. Resolved a crash caused by wrong calculation of resolution during screen resolution change. Fixed occasional pixelation of RTT holograms. Fixed several bugs in LOD merger and investigated additional issues in rendering of invalid entities. Progress made on hair shader, including graying controls, varying tiling, and melanin selection. Investigation continued into offline damage maps with implementation continued on damage map debugging and querying of damage maps. Optimizations to hit processing. So this way we can have the level design team began work on 3 new chapters with 2 more incoming in the next weeks. Continued focus on providing full playability and functioning mechanics and actions involving spaceflight and dogfighting. They also implemented support for expanded content with social AI and social design teams. Continued implementation of in-game scene, conversations, breakouts, and rejoins. Narrative team continued tightening story and lines of dialogue, as well as synchronizing with design teams. Work began on one of the larger set-piece levels in preparation of generating scripts and placeholder recording for the rest of the development team to review. Developed concepts for in-mission collectibles, new tone and presentation of objectives, outlined hint system for lost players, and new production schedule started for capturing placeholder content validated in playthroughs, provided by interdisciplinary huddle, identifying and tracking remaining tests. But yeah, you're going to have in-mission collectibles in Squadron 42. That sounds fun. Depending on what they are and what they do, it can be great. QA team focused on supporting cinematics this month, confirming issues via reproduction and chasing outstanding bugs. Just normal QA stuff. Also got the tech animation entered final stages of animation pipeline refactor mentioned in the previous report. They replaced multiple code blocks with more elegant and performant. Continued work on fidelity camp drink prioritizing system for performance pieces. Numerous new character heads progressed towards animation. UI team also finalized new layouts and visual concepts for streamlined vehicle HUDs and MFDs, because they teased new MFDs. We're going back 2 years now, and hopefully that means we'll finally see the rollout of them soon. Worked on navigation and support for space clouds and the new star map, because they are working on a new star map. We're not going to be cursed with the abomination we currently have in game forever. Upgraded both layered UI and new 3D UI card system for automatic handling of holographic curved surfaces. And the new Squadron 42 exclusive Mobi-Glass and Visor will explore a test run of these upgrades. Because you're not going to have the same gear in Squadron that you will in Star Citizen, because squadron, you are a naval officer, have modern military equipment. Star Citizen, you're not. VFX team primarily focused on, primary focus was on a cutscene involving significant destruction. Probably need a lot of help with the damaging map. VFX team. They explored various methods of convincingly animating bending and tearing of metal structures as opposed to the arcade-like shattering common real-time destruction situations. And they also worked on a new suite of energy-based weapons, providing support to the art and design teams. But yeah, hopefully that means, because they showed off some tech demo of that metal bending and rendering a few years ago, because they want us to be able to essentially blow holes in ships, right, for boarding and such. And also for if you get shot and you have a hull breach and then explosive decompression. So obviously that's going to be needed for that sort of stuff, along with maybe for breaching a door, right? You're on the ground on some outpost and put an explosive to the door. That door is going to be blowing apart. You don't want it to just shatter like glass. You want it to blow up realistically. That's pretty cool. That's pretty much the entirety of the Squadron 42 report, though.
Anyway, I'm chatting in the leaks Discord, and you have a whole bunch of the murder hobo gang pretty much going like, these fucking Care Bears, blah 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 blah. How dare people not want to be PvP'd anytime I want to PvP
Is this
them?
regarding the jump point or the jump? Sorry, jump
No,
town
just in
or
general.
Oh.
Like, there's discussion about like
Yeah,
the legal system. You have people literally arguing like, well, we shouldn't even have a legal system because players will always find some kind of a workaround, and it's like, no, fuck that. Like when your argument is you should let me do what I want because I'm gonna find a workaround anyway. No, get fucked. Like because the ideal, not to jump completely off topic here.
No, it's on
what we were
topic. We're
talking
done with the
before
squadron
here.
stuff.
But in Star Citizen, you have two general aspects that define kind of your interactions on a organizational basis. One being the legal system. So that's things like, hey, I just murdered some people. Hey, I've got a bounty out for my ass now because, duh. Or hey, I'm a bounty hunter. I'm a goody two shoes kind of player on the good side of the law here, and I just jumped into a fucking pirate outpost. Hey, they all want to fucking kill me on sight. Whereas someone who didn't have my reputation, they might be like, yeah, you can hang around, but you better not make any waves. So you have legal, which is like if you have active bounties, an active criminal status, that kind of thing. But then you have reputation. Reputation is meant to be a much more long-term kind of thing to where, hey, if I went and murdered 100 people at some point, I'm going to be persona non grata in most of the areas in that system, assuming these are people in good standing, these are civilians or something like that. If I went to Microtech and slaughtered 100 civilians here, I'm gonna pop over to Microtech again. Oh no, I cleared my crime stat. I'm a free man now, and they'll be like, hey, that's great. We don't give a fuck. You try to land, we'll blow you out of the goddamn sky. So that's more the reputation side, which says here's the long-term effects of your actions. And that's both, again, good and bad. If you're a goody two-shoes player, and again, you enter a pirate stronghold, they're going to go, hey, what the fuck are you doing here? We're going to kill you, bitch. Because they're like, hey, you've proven that no matter what, you're not going to work alongside of us, so yeah, we're going to fucking kill you. Versus if you are a nefarious player going to that same area, they'll be like, yeah, hey, we'll ignore you as long as you ignore us, and maybe we'll even have some work for you, if you're willing to get your hands dirty while you're here. But conversely too, hey, I'm a really bad player. I've murdered tons of people, and I jumped to another system here, but hey, this system is controlled by the UEE, and the system I murdered a bunch of people in was controlled by the UEE. Hey, guess what? They're fucking firing on my ass. Wow, weird how that works, huh? That's the intent of that system, is that your actions have not just immediate consequences, but long-term consequences. Now, that's not to say, too, let's say if I'm the Dread Pirate Roberts, and at some point I'm like, you know what? I'm done with all this criminal stuff. I want to be a good guy. I'm going to be doing good stuff, good things, all that kind of thing. It's not going to be very easy to switch back, because not only do you have to grind down your nefarious reputation, and bear in mind there's several different organizations here. It's not just, lawful, unlawful. It's not like Mass Effect, Paragon, Renegade, and that's it. Like you're going to have a bunch of different organizations, like the UE itself. You're going to have the Advocacy, who are essentially kind of like the space cops / bounty hunters. You're going to have all kinds of criminal organizations. You're going to have to be grinding down your reputation with the bad groups, the groups you don't want to be with anymore. And bearing in mind, too, you already right now, we have missions that are granted or not granted based on reputation level. I.e., like, hey, I'm doing more and more bunker missions here for whoever. I'm getting more advanced bunker missions that are paying more and have better rewards and stuff. Great. I'm getting better and more stuff as I do more things with them. If you're trying to grind down your rep, you not only have to go and do what things you can to whittle that down, and then you're losing opportunities there, but you aren't going to gain any opportunities of the, we'll call it opposite reputation level, until you're at 0 or so. So you have to 0 out the bad rep, then grind out the good rep that you want on, and that's whichever side of that balance you're going for. If you're a goody two shoes, you're like, I'm going to be a pirate here, and you go off and murder a bunch of people. Sure, you might be a criminal now, and you might have pissed off some organizations like the UEE, whatever local government that was. But the criminal organizations might still go, hey, we don't want anything to fucking do with you. You put dozens of my best guys either in graves or behind bars, and killing a few people doesn't change my opinion of you. You have to make me happy, not just piss off those guys. So that's the intent. Unfortunately, you still have some people that decide, well, I just want to go and fuck with anyone I want and have no long-term consequences. Sorry, not the game for you.
We'll be dumb like that, I guess.
But it's just funny seeing the fucking gankers trying to go and argue why they should be able to murder whoever they want, whenever they want. It's like, yeah, no. If you want that kind of a game, go play Rust. Go play Tarkov or some shit. Or if you want to Star Citizen, go play fucking Star Marine. Get your murder hobo on there. But if you want to go around with ganking every miner you see here, that's trying to go and earn a living, pretty soon you're not. And one thing too, like, bear in mind, like Grimhex, the entire point of Grimhex being in the Stanton system is this is where the criminals go, because they're not welcome anywhere else. Like, if you get a bad enough rep, you try to go to Hurston, they're not going to let you land there. You'd have to go. If you're like, hey, I want to get into the city, cool, you can do it. Like, you're still going to have a way. You aren't going to be hard locked out of content, but okay, you have to go and land way out in the outskirts. Then once you landed there, you're going to have to go and take some kind of a small vehicle, probably a bike or something, into one of the gates. You're going to have to go and foil the guards somehow, either a bribe or some kind of forged documents, whatever else. Okay, now you're in. Oh, and by the way, with the way it looks like the future of cities and armistice zones is going to be, hey, when you enter in a city, you're going to be disarmed. You might not even be able to have armor.
Like, depending on your reputation, you might, if you have a really good reputation with that location, you might be able to carry a handgun. That's about it.
I mean, I could see you getting to a certain point where you have It's like, okay, I
I said depending on the location.
low to medium rep. Okay, you can have a handgun. I've got full medium rep. Okay, you can start having some other miscellaneous stuff. You can use like your med gun, that kind of thing. Okay, I've got high reputation. Okay, now you can actually have your rifles and LMGs and stuff. Because to get that high rep, that's going to be something that's going to take weeks, if not months, of grinding to get to. It's not going to be something that you can just take a day. At least, again, this is the intent that they've talked about before. Like, it's not going to be something that you go and have a day of trolling players, and then you take a weekend and grind your rep up, and then and then the next weekend you're off, fucking with players again. It's not going to be like that. You're not going to be able to flip it like a switch. You're going to have to work at this because, again, the intent is this is the long-term persistence of the game, is your reputation and what you get from there. So it's like, sure, you might have a nefarious player that goes and grinds up enough good boy points to bring their pistol on, and they start, trying to shoot people. But the guards who are in full gear are going to take them down pretty quick because they're going to be like, hey, what the fuck do you think you're doing? Oh, well, and you're sitting there in no armor with a pistol, and now you're fucking dead and in jail. It'd be even better, I think. It'd be even funnier if you are, let's say if I'm Joe Schmo, I'm just walking about doing my thing, and some player does, they smuggled in a pistol, because sure, you should be able to smuggle in some weapons. It should be hard, especially like smuggling in, if you wanted to smuggle in a rifle into Microtech, it should be all but impossible. Sure, there might be a way to do it, but it should be pretty fucking hard, because otherwise, of course, everyone's going to do it, right? But let's say if I'm a player and Joe Ganker, blam, they got me. Motherfucker. I'm just trying to do my shit, and blam, I'm dead.
I'm totally using
There
that
goes
name
my
for our Star
gameplay.
Citizen mission. Joe Ganker.
I would love it if in that scenario, you're in a city, so you're in a controlled area, a legal space station, a large city, whatever, that you get essentially full recovery from that. So whatever medical stuff would need to be done, would all be just covered. Just as part of the, hey, you're a legal citizen here, you're good. You're covered. You don't lose anything. You don't even lose a life. I would say. Now, you'd have to have a pretty good system to go and put that in. Again, that's what I would want to see. But I think that would go, because at that point, that ruins most of what a ganker would be going for, which is to ruin your gameplay. Now, if you're going after someone because they've got a bounty or whatever else, sure. Especially like if someone has a legal bounty, like if I'm a legal bounty hunter, I should be able to take some of my gear here, marked up to them, and be like, hey, guess what? You're fucking coming with me to the Earth Advocacy Office. And they go, shit. No, that would be the supposed ideal situation. Again, assuming they don't have some gear they've smuggled in or whatever else. They're going to try to fight me. They're going to try to run. Whatever might happen there. And like I said, you should be able to smuggle gear in. Let's say that criminal player sneaking into Hurston. If they have enough of a bribe, for example, they should be able to go and smuggle in, let's say, a pistol or the parts of a pistol, and they have to reassemble it at some point. But, and this is one thing that should be at any legal armistice zone, or really any controlled armistice zone. You might have some areas that are just, we don't care what you do as long as you don't piss us off. But if you're in a controlled area, whether it's a criminal gang, a legal entity like the UEE or whoever else, if a guard sees you walking around with a weapon and you're not authorized to have that weapon based on your reputation or a specific mission or something like that, hey, guess what? They're going to be like, hey, stop right there. Let me talk to you for a moment. What's that? Why you got that here, huh? You got some kind of approval? Because my scan's saying you don't. Oh boy. And and then that would probably be confiscated. You can pick it up when you leave. Talk to an officer, they'll get it back to you.
Either that, or you can instigate the discretionary run.
Oh, exactly. Or let's say if the character's like, well, shit, I'm supposed to be doing an assassination at 2:30 and it's fucking 2:20 right now. I'm gonna book it. I'm gonna try to run over to where the person is and see if I can get this done here. Maybe that's what they want to go for. Maybe they're gonna try to start slaughtering the guards and shit. But any time, especially in a city, in a civilized area, air quotes here. So again, I'm talking major cities, major space stations here. Probably not really so much homesteads, because you're not going to have too many people at homesteads. But large areas, it should be a losing battle for a player to start trying to instigate shit there. Same way too, like if I'm a goody two-shoes bounty hunter and I go over to fucking Pyro and I land on Ruin Station and I'm like, I'm gonna go and take the fight to the criminals here and I'm gonna shoot them all. Like, no, I should get blasted the fuck away, because even if I go in my full battle rattle here, heavy armor and all that shit, I'm gonna get overwhelmed by numbers. They're gonna go and hit me with a fucking rocket or a railgun or some of that shit, and I'm gonna be gone. Duh. Short term, you should be able to make some kind of an incursion or threat on an area. Long term, not so much. Medium term is where it would get interesting, of temporarily holding an area, but even still, it should be, especially for large civilized areas like a city, a space station, it should be all but impossible, even for a group of players, because otherwise you're going to definitely go and have someone bring along, hey, I grabbed 100 of my asshole buddies and we're all just going to go and lock this area down and just kill off anyone that tries to fly away because we can. No demands, no none of this, but because that's, imagine the Nine Tails lockdown, but it's players doing it. They're going to be a lot more assholey about that. So it should be very hard, if not impossible, to do, in my opinion.
Yeah, and also it goes back to the whole, like, even if you're a goody two-shoes bounty hunter, like, oh, there's criminals there. I don't care about my reputation. I'm here to kill criminals. Like, that, it goes back to the whole think before you act gameplay of Star Citizen.
Yeah. And that's, you have a whole lot of people that want to, one way or the other, they want to just be able to react, get their rocks off for their 30 seconds of gameplay or whatever, and then gallop off into the sunset being victorious with the congratulatory music in the background. And it's like, no, that's not what this game is about. Nope. It's about thinking, it's about planning, it's about setting things up before you do shit. If you just go and run in, now, obviously when we're looking at like lower level stuff, if to some degree you're only going to be running in because you don't have the resources to really go and be able to.
But you're still thinking about it. No, you're not even just running in though. You're still there. You're thinking about what do I do with my limited resources.
Yeah, like I mean, for example, and we're going to see this once we see more longer term, because I mean, honestly, we still do not really have any multi-part missions. We've got a few flying missions which are really just several waypoints with spawners at them here, so I don't really count those. But like the ones we've seen at SitCon, pretty much like since 3.0,
they've all either been added in and then just removed due to some issue, or
well, I mean, we've got parts of them here and there, but we don't have actual sequential, like you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing this missions to where there's multi-stage. It's all just one stage. You might have several one-stage areas hooked up, but it's still just one stage. And I want to get to the point where we're seeing multi-stage. You're seeing actual, almost story content levels of, like, not a full narrative here of things, but like, hey,
but missions that actually have some kind of story to them, yeah. Aside from just
there should be a self-contained story in the mission.
That's more than just a flavor text. And I know we always refer to the Moby-Glass text in the missions as flavor text, even though in Star Citizen it isn't just flavor text. It actually tells you what the hell you're doing,
it does tell
what
you
to
details,
expect.
like,
It's actually important information, but some of them like for instance the very very basic delivery mission where it's not like it's really go to Kovalex because they screwed me over. My package is over there. Like that's the story. That's the flavor text of that mission. Like that's the current mission type of story that we have right now. Whereas something like the Clovis Darnley mission, which is pretty much the only CitizenCon mission that actually is in game, where it's like okay, go.
Honestly, not really, because we don't.
No, and it's been neutered from its original thing.
Yes,
because it never really worked.
Because I mean, like, and for those who don't know, what the mission was is you get told, hey, there's a down satellite. It has this prototype board or chip or something in there that they want. And they'll pay you handsomely to go and get it. Okay. So you would go over, you find the satellite crash site. Okay, cool. You do some environmental puzzling to get to the point of where the chip was stored on the satellite here, because obviously it's a bit of a fucking wreck. And it used to be there was some jumping involved here. Now it's just where it would be is just in the there's like a hallway in there, and it's just in there. There's no jumping. At least last time I did it, which was a while ago. But and it used to be too like, oh, you'd have to have a cutting tool. Like, oh,
no, there was always the interior of the data blade. That's still there. It's so when you go there,
the card is not there.
No, the card is sometimes you have to jump on because it's on top of the satellite. You have to
they still have it spawn out there sometimes.
It's still there sometimes,
every time I've
but
done it.
Yeah, so I've done it a few times, and I recorded it each time, so you can like it's on the channel somewhere. But you know, it's sometimes it's you have to go inside the satellite and just track it. Usually, what I do is I'll go inside the wreck. That's easy. Then just you press the button because that'll track the blade, so you know where it is if it's not there.
Yep.
And this way it'll show, it is still on the satellite, so then you do the whole parkour thing and get it, and bam, now you just have to bring it to one of the bunkers and hack it. And
and that's the thing too, is that the blade isn't guaranteed to be in the satellite. It will be at mission start, but there's other people potentially going to go and retrieve that too. So, and originally it was that either you get to the satellite fast enough, you get the card, you drop the card off, that's it. That's one way of doing the mission. The other versions would be you get there and hey, the card's gone. And oh shit, turns out someone's trying to go and hack the card at a nearby data center. Okay, so you have to fly over there, and meanwhile you would have either an NPC or even another player hacking a terminal to try to go and get data off of the card here themselves, or alternatively to destroy it in a certain manner. Because if I remember right too, Hurston Dynamics has a adjoining mission to where they're like, hey, we know this card's been stolen, retrieved if you can, destroy it if you can't. And if you want to destroy it, you have to do it in a certain way so that the data isn't recoverable on there. They're like, we'll just make a new one here to limit them trying to go and bad people getting their hands on it. So then you have to go over to the bunker, and from the bunker, kill the person trying to hack the card, take yourself, and then go and follow the mission. We don't have any missions like that. Or things like the mission we saw when the Carrick first came out, to where, hey, you're sneaking into a microtech research lab, stealing a memory chip there. You're downloading some data onto it, and then getting out, and then, oh shit, you were discovered. Oh shit, now I gotta go and drive out here and into this horrible snowstorm, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like this kind, and the person actually had to go and like switch some, get some better armor because they were going to freeze to death otherwise. But these are the kind of missions we want to see. Which, and unfortunately, we haven't really got those, and honestly, we probably won't really see them at least until server meshing is in. Because at that point, from what I've heard, supposedly, there's a whole lot of other like things like resources areas, like caves or buildings, that are kind of ready to go, but there
because of
isn't
the
really enough
limitations right now,
server
yeah.
availability to put them in alongside all the other content. But we want involved missions, not just go to a location, shoot some bad guys. That's the mission. Or even what we've got right now is go to a location, shoot some bad guys. Maybe you go to another location, shoot some bad guys there, and that's it. And it's like, ugh, come on.
I actually have gameplay footage of the STAR-DKWB mission. Like, I think I did it back in 3.13. I think it's the most recent time I did the mission. And it was, I was showing new players about it then, and it actually worked. So I completely forgot about this. But hey, it's at least something worked, right?
Guys,
The problem also is that I don't think these missions pay as well as just a go here, kill a guy, or kill a bunch of guys and get paid in the process. That's another problem. Is that you need to make it fun and worthwhile.
yeah, I mean, and part of that though is they have not really, and they've come out and said this. They aren't really working on balancing, at least outside of very large brushstrokes. They aren't really concerned on balancing economies, certain missions, stuff like that, because they're like, look, this stuff's going to change in 6 months, in a year, because again, we don't have access to all the information they do. There's all
Right.
kinds of stuff that they're already working on and putting down the framework for reputation system, the legal system. I mean, things like, hey, this mission pays, 30,000 at a base level. So that's if there's no other factors. But hey, by the time you get this mission, you probably have level 3 reputation, whatever they call it, with the organization giving you it, and they're going to give you a 25% bonus on there or whatever. So
Yeah, but I mean, like, look, you and I know this, but other players don't. And
oh
it's
yeah,
also, and even regardless, the whole mission payout thing, because for testing, it does make it a bit annoying when you keep dying due to random stuff like that.
Honestly, it's part of the reason why I don't play as much these days. Like, a patch comes out, I'll play a bit. A new event comes out, I'll play it a bit. When 3.17.2 comes out and Siege of Orison drops, I'll probably play for a week or two off and on, and then I'm probably going to go back to modding up Skyrim or playing Fallen Order or Minecraft, whatever, while I'm waiting for more content here. Because it's like I've kind of been there, done that for most things, and it's not to the point of being a daily driver kind of game.
Yep. At least not yet, and that's part of the whole edition alpha. So.
And it will be eventually, but it's still probably going to be a while until it is there. I don't think even with Pyro and server meshing, I don't think we're going to be quite at the point of it being a daily driver kind of game.
Part of my problem right now is just like difficult because I'm trying to get our org to actually be active, and yet we all have that same problem right now where it's just too many consequences for very little action.
Yes.
Then there's not much to do, especially in the way of group activities, unless you make your own action regarding group activity. And we could easily do it, but thing is, then you have to actually get people to play, not because there's a reason to, but you want to make one yourself. And to understand, like again, this is an alpha. We're testing the game here. We're not playing the game. We're testing it. But that's like it's hard to get
Well,
people around
you can
to
play
do.
it while testing it, but
Yes,
at the same
that's
point, like the
play
game
testing.
is not at a point where it is a game. It's at a point where it is a alpha. You are, you will be going and you'll be having a great time. Everything will be working as intended, and then you fucking trip, fall, and die randomly from a fucking door. I'm hearing right now in the current patches, if you run out of an elevator, you'll just randomly fucking die because physics. So they'll
Yeah.
have to track down what's causing that and hopefully patch that up.
I
Shit
believe it
happens.
was earlier today or yesterday. I saw Board Gamer did a playthrough of the Siege of Orison, and at the end, he was trying to put one of the Picos or Francis Storm, one of the plushies. I don't remember which one, but he's trying to put it on the floor of the shuttle as it was moving, and then he just got ejected from the shuttle. He's on the roof, but
Nope.
he wasn't moving, and the shuttle was, so he was kind of like it was sliding out from under him, and he just started falling. Actually, not him, Zin. But one of them, whoever was the cameraman
One of
in
the
that.
people involved.
Either way, person clipped through ceiling and then fell. I don't remember which one was what. Yeah, it's and that's the thing. It happens. That's why you're alpha testing it. But it does when it happens a lot. But that is we should probably mention that alpha the PTU is open to everyone. It's open PTU. Anyone that's a backer, anyone that has the game can play the PTU right now, if you so wish. Because I think last time 2 weeks ago, it was not. Did they say what time Siege of Orison was going to be?
Nope. All I believe I've heard is that Siege of Orison should go and roll out alongside 17.2, I believe.
Yeah, I meant today, but yeah. Yeah, Siege of Orison will be running on the PTU servers tonight from 1830 CDT to 2130 CDT. Which is about 6:30 Eastern.
Nice.
No, that's not right. 6:30 Central. Oh, that's why it's throwing me off. Central Daylight.
Which is not the same as Central. Get wrecked.
Right. But that's gonna be 7:30 p.m. for us. Yeah. Yeah. It should be still running though. Should be Siege of Orison on the PTU right now.
Okay.
Man, it's on the PTU. I haven't been logged in. I haven't even copied my account yet. You?
Nope.
Might do it later. Probably not tonight though.
Later or later.
Later, I barely know her.
Exactly.
That's roadmap update from July 20th. That was the last roadmap update. But essentially, all I did on the release view, they added the Anvil Centurion, which is a new ground vehicle. It's a variant of the Ballista, or the technically
It's an energy
Spartan.
variant, if I remember right.
It's that Anvil ground vehicle platform.
Yes.
Now we got the Centurion.
Well, it is the AA platform, except now instead of it being a ballistic version,
It's
where it would have
rapid fire guns, yeah.
like 2 size 2s and like 4 size 4s guns on it. Ballistic guns.
It's essentially a ground placed hammerhead turret.
Yeah. Now, of interesting note there, and I refuse to let this go. In comparison, so again, we're talking 4 size 4 guns and 2 size 2, with the 4 size 4 being the main armament of it. It's got a couple missiles on there. Or actually, no, I don't believe that version has any missiles. But it's got 4 size 4 and then 2 size 2 as a little turret to act as more of a close range personnel coming up on you. The Carrack, which is a barely sub-capital, like it just barely is not a capital ship, and it's a military exploration ship, has less firepower than 2 of these. 2 of these Centurions, the Carrack has less firepower. 2 AA platforms, Carrack has less firepower. For fuck's sake.
I mean, it's still bigger than the automated AA guns. At least the 4 size 4s. But then, when do you ever see the automated AA guns being alone? There's usually at least 4 of them at any one location.
At least 3 of them in a.
With the exception of the one operating one on the bunkers that were stolen. Right?
Yeah, there's singular ones on bunkers, but for actual defended sites, like, hey, you wanted to go and hack a data terminal to remove your crime stat? Cool, yeah, there's fucking 4 of those bitches there. Good luck.
Yeah, well, the idea is why there's only one. It makes it easier for the mission. But the lore for it is that the criminals that went in to invade the place shut the others down or destroyed them somehow, and they left one operable to fight for them now.
Yes. Which, I mean, I don't know, that makes sense. But like I said, it just.
But there were 4.
Out of me that a military exploration ship has less fucking firepower than ships half its fucking size that are not meant to be combat ships. Like this
or
thing
how
is meant
about
to operate on its own in heavily hostile areas here. And the answer is just run away. I don't buy it. Anywho.
How about the fact that they're both made by Anvil?
Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, I saw this really cool design someone made. Let me see if I can find this thing. Someone made a fan creation of a Anvil capital ship.
Oh yeah.
Here it is. I'll put it in our
in the group chat.
Group chat here. No, what the fuck? Oh, for fuck's sake, let me.
Oh wait, I see it. I remember. I'm also in this. I'm in the leak server. I just found it.
Okay, yeah, it's in creative, but I'll just put it so.
Yeah, I just hear it. It is now on the screen on the stream. People see the Vesuvius class cruiser.
For those who don't know, so there's 2 ships in the picture here. The one on the bottom, the smaller one, is a hammerhead. This is a big ship.
Yes, that is a
For
hammerhead
those who
made
don't
by
know,
Aegis.
a hammerhead, those four little stubby little arms it has, is a manned turret with 4 guns on it.
4x4s.
And 4 guns, yes.
There's one there.
So
Behind it
this
on the
thing is
bottom.
meant to be, according to the author, this thing is meant to be an anti-capital ship.
Oh, so like a Polaris, but not made by
Similar,
RSI.
more of a defensive high punch kind of thing, as opposed like it's pretty much going to be like a backbone ship, to where it pretty much sits there. It tanks a lot of shots. It has like a lot of that space on it is redundant armor. Like they were saying it
I was
would
about to
have
say,
like
it
two
looks
or
really
three
well armored.
layers.
It looks great.
Oh, and also too, like it took me a couple of looks at it, but bear in mind this is Anvil.
Yeah.
It looks very similar to the Carrack. I mean, look
Yeah.
at the wings, look at the general nose shape of it. It looks like the Carrack. Yeah, it still has that Anvil design language, and you can see on the back
It's
behind the bridge, it has the round circle that Anvil
yeah.
always does, angular lines. It has two small hangers. There's a rear hanger too for it to carry like one Valkyrie or a couple little snubs, that kind
Where's
of
the other
thing.
hanger?
We can't see it in this image of it, but it's in the back. It would pop
Gotcha.
out the back for like a single
Oh,
drop
I think I
ship
see the
going to
doors for it.
missions.
Or is it
But
is this supposed to be a
thing looks
vertical
amazing.
or horizontal hanger?
I don't know. Like there's the one in the front. That's just a
That's
single fighter. But there's another one in the rear that would hold a Valkyrie.
Oh, so then that is definitely not those
Yeah,
hangers.
there's 2 hangars.
I love this. It looks great. It looks like a Carrack and a Idris had a baby.
Yeah, it's like, and it's size wise, it's comparable in size to the Javelin, but much less on. The Javelin is kind of just meant to be a bit of a slugger in that it's meant to be in the middle of the battle, just firing all over the place. This is kind of meant to be standing off with more like your reserve forces, kind of more of a longer range sniper as opposed to a tanky brawler. Like,
Right.
it's still tanky, but it's not right in the middle of the fight. It's the guy you leave behind with your support forces.
Yeah, because it doesn't look like he's got a lot of point. Like this thing looks weak in point defense, which honestly it fits that profile. Like this is long range, like not meant to be in the fight, but it's still fighting. It's just not in the fight.
Yeah, like you go and get some like gladiuses, or not gladiuses. You get some what's the bomber that starts with a G?
Oh, Gladiator.
Gladiator, yeah. You got some gladiators on this thing, or some other heavy fighters. This guy's gonna be in a bit of trouble here. You're gonna have to, hey, okay, we've got some snubs, send them out while we go and maneuver and kind of pop out of here, because otherwise, yeah, those big turrets, those things are not, it looks like they've got a couple little pot shot kind of turrets here, but if you get a wing of fighters on you, no, you're in trouble now. Which is also probably why it shows it moving with a hammerhead. Because with the hammerhead there, okay, now you're relatively well protected unless you have something massive coming at you like a javelin.
Yeah, I love this a lot. I did a really good job. I'll message him later about it.
Yeah, I know. I talked to him in the leak server.
I saw. Yeah, that's how I found. Like, oh, I see you responded all to this one image. That's probably it. I am not at all active in the leak server. I'm in it, but I just
neither am I. I usually just look in there just to see, is there anything interesting? No, okay, bye.
The only thing, whenever I check the leak server, it's usually only the CIG channel or the Star Citizen News channel, and that's really it. I just ignore everything else.
You have a lot of, unfortunately, immature people there. But it's and you can't even say like, oh, they're just young idiots. Like, no, you have a lot of older people that are just like causing problems or arguing. I don't know why.
I mean, it's not even just for that. It's one of those really, really active, really large servers. So it's not like, honestly, and I'm just using it for news, information.
Yep.
I'll just check the channels that, like, oh, Star Citizen channel, anything? No. CIG channel, anything? No. Leaks channel? No. Alright, so then that's it for the day. Until tomorrow, I'll check, see if something's up.
Fuck you, and I'll see you tomorrow.
I like this. I like this a lot.
Yeah, and honestly, there have been a lot of really good player-made um, ships and stuff like that. And also too with this, and one thing I said before was design language, and
Yeah.
you
No, this.
have for CIG, like if you talk about Origin, for example, Origin is very luxurious. It's meant to
A
be
lot of curves. Yep.
a very expensive, very luxurious, very form over function kind of ship here for all of their ships. Um, and and you have these smooth lines, very clean looking textures. That's kind of what they go for with it. Versus if you were to look at Drake, Drake is very industrial. It has
Bare
exposed
bones.
wires, things that look like modern day. So this would be in terms of the game world, very old tech, as opposed to having holographic displays. You're going to have kind of a retro handheld wire display instead. That's kind of the design language there. It looks like it's kind of held together by duct tape and a whole lot of rust. But each of these manufacturers have these styles, and you might have stuff that breaks out of those styles now and again, but that's the overarching language of them. So, and it's really interesting to see that, but it's also really cool to see when players look at this stuff and they go, "Hey, I'm going to do this too." And of course, they've talked about the design languages they've used several times over, so it's not hard for players to follow the same rules if they're making fan
Nope.
submissions.
Love the use of the
So yeah.
windows over here to kind of help establish scale. Honestly, I really like the look of this a lot. I like how
Oh
it's
yeah.
essentially just
Honestly,
elements of
I
the
would
character
love to have
and then
that,
given an
but
interest
I can
type
guarantee
design.
that would be like 1,500, if not more.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, real money.
yeah. This is great. I have to ask what program you use. Nice.
But yeah, you have a lot of fan submissions, and I've said there
Yep.
was another one I saw. I don't know if it was the same guy or someone else. Actually, I wonder if it's tucked away in the creative
For
tab
anyone
there.
wondering, this is made by Stoic Sunbro. Corner of the screen. Enville Aerospace Vesuvius class cruiser.
Mm-hmm.
And concept. It looks awesome.
Let's see if I can find there was another ship I saw, and it was kind of meant to be something in the line of a Valkyrie sized ship. Not really meant to be a troop transport, meant to be a small vehicle carrier and like a bit of a personnel carrier, but more on the level of like 8 troops or so.
Right.
So more meant for larger vehicles and cargo. Trying to see if the guy linked it in that creative. Ooh, excuse me.
I gotta say,
Chewing on
this has
the.
got my artist stamp of approval here.
What's this? Oh no, there's Here, I'll put this one over here. This was a Drake heavy fighter, I believe. The one I just linked. I don't know if that's actually going to embed. It might take a minute. It's a bit of a large image. But that one looked very, very interesting. Because again, it's got this industrial, hard, rough look to it. But you can tell also too, it's very armored. Scrolling. Scroll. Yeah, the reason I mentioned that other ship was that it had some side doors, if I remember right, but it also had like a back ramp similar to the Cutlass Black in a way. But if I remember right, it was anvil styled.
Interesting. Anvil's got a
Oh,
really
hey.
nice aesthetic for the ships.
Oh, here's another one from Stoic. This is a consolidated outland mining ship. I don't know why these. Oh, that one embedded. Okay. Oh, look at that. That looks cute. I really like that. This guy does some good shit. Yes. Well, exactly. Because that way, also too, it'll actually embed in the channel on.
Yeah, because now it does.
At least ideally. Ooh.
That looks nice. I like it. I feel like this one does have a bit of like more Aegis design language to it, though.
Yeah, to a degree.
Like at first glance, this doesn't look like a. But I do
I mean,
like
part of it is too. It's heavily armored, which Drake doesn't really do.
No, because Drake's whole thing
so
is bare bones affordable.
But also too, that doesn't necessarily mean they can't go
No,
and
not at all.
have something outside of there. It's just that's not their norm. Still scrolling. I'll scroll. See if I can scroll through to.
I assume you're on like a Reddit or something.
I'm actually in the creative channel of the leak server. 'Cause a lot of people do post
Well,
here.
back to the topic before with the Anvil Centurion.
Guys,
Yeah, it's currently in the PTU, and it will be in. Or is it in the PTU anymore? It was like there for a little bit.
I believe it was because I've seen PTU screenshots of it, and if I remember right, people were talking about having access to it, but I think it has been kind of in and out. It hasn't just been a here you go.
Yeah. Well, either way, it's been added to the release view, so it will be a game ready vehicle in 3.17.2 when that goes. Also,
all the people who have a Hercules who can carry it.
say again.
For all the people who have a Hercules who can carry it.
Yeah. Also, the progress tracker, some props, parts of the props team has been integrated into the Sandbox and Squadron 42 art teams. The rest is now the new Interactables team. Aside from that, not much changed. Like the roadmap update this week was, or last week I should say, was minor. I mean, I say that, but then there is this, which
Dun, dun, dun.
well, no, just all the updated, like a bunch of stuff was updated, but nothing really changed. All this stuff is being worked on is still being worked on. They removed and added some stuff here.
For something to get moved up in the road.
The only thing that got removed are the deliverables of
moved
AI
up, not removed.
Yeah, not. The only things I'm seeing really are AI turret gunner and jump module were both removed. Well, being removed does not mean that they are.
I mean, it's not gone. It's just going to be put somewhere else at some point.
And they did say they were changing up teams, so maybe they're changing. They removed them for the sake of just organization. They're not part of the teams anymore. They're removing team roadmap. I don't know. Either way,
Yes.
they're still being worked on. They're changing the layout of the road, or the layout of their team, how they work.
But there was one time, I think it was last year sometime, like mid last year, that we had something get moved up as opposed to moved back in the roadmap. But I'm hoping that we get more of that at some point. Things going exceptionally well or some shit.
By the way, it was XGR when I knew it was. I just wasn't sure if it was SCR, but it's XGR because logo. That's the map for that track right there. Snake pit. Your location at nighttime. Or all times of the day.
It's eternal night.
Yeah. Pretty cool stuff. Black Maze is
I'm
the
giving
head
up.
of XGR.
I'm not gonna find this this other ship, unfortunately.
It's funny because apparently, the whole reason this started is because CIG was watching guys like Salty Mike, Peyton Will, Morphologist, Superman, Black Maze.
Watching, waiting, lurking.
Cool stuff. I like when the community gets spotlighted in such a way that it's nice.
Yeah. No, yeah. We got anything else?
No, I think that's pretty much it for all the news. Because all we're doing is Star Citizen.
Oops,
Yeah, for everyone
all
watching,
Star Citizen.
Mondays now are just going to be Star Citizen. Unless there's just no Star Citizen news. And any non-Star Citizen news we'll do either on Wednesdays or some other day. To be to. That's really it. I mean, Snake Pit, database wipe, updates regarding 3.72, the player count increase. That's about it. What the fuck is on the screen?
Don't ask questions.
Oh, the thingy I was using. I was using a GIF or GIF or GIF, whatever you want to call it, for
Hey.
that for the new armors, the new Morozov armors. Apparently, it wasn't a full GIF. Like it doesn't just loop; it looped into something else, like a video, and not eating media. So that's annoying. But yeah, that's gonna be it for now. Hopefully, we're back. We're probably gonna be doing a stream probably Wednesday or Thursday. I hope, if not just tomorrow even. See, right now we got a Mega Jenny 1 and George Lucas is in the chat, or was in the chat.
Damn.
Yeah, the creator of Star Wars himself. What's he doing here? Getting tips from Star Citizen. Yep. Maybe we'll play. I don't know. I can't guarantee that I'll get Cam to play PTU. If it goes live, though, we'll definitely play.
Yes.
And I don't know if we're gonna do this live. We might just pre-record it, but we'll be doing a thing for the the Fallout TV. I was watching Halo footage on the street. We'll be doing something for the Fallout TV show news along with that Transformers Earthspark, because I have things to say. That's probably just gonna be pre-recorded because we can probably beat that out in like 20 minutes, 2 hour thing. Versus
Maybe.
yeah, and I have no idea really what regards to the video game news stuff. There's a lot of EA related news going on, not pertaining to boxes that we covered last time. But like supposedly there was that thing with the free Skate 4, whatever the game was. Now free to play, like everything. And Stray, everyone's fan about Stray. Yep. So hopefully we'll be live later this week. If not, we'll be back next Monday. Some more Star Citizen. Be it. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.